Welcome to the Louie Minor Show. I'm your host, Commissioner Louie Minor. Today is January 28th, 2023, and let's get started. So, as a PSA, there is no Commissioners Court meeting on Monday, January 30th. That is because this is the fifth Monday of the month. And usually most cities, governments, counties, they don't meet on the fifth Monday of the month. So kind of have a Monday that's not going to be consumed by meetings all day. So that's good. I could get a lot accomplished. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. You know, since I became a commissioner, got into office, and there's no secret that the Confederate statue has been a priority of mine. A lot of things that I've heard on social media or meetings and events that I go to are people voicing their concern that, you know, surely there's other things that you can be working on besides the Confederate statue. There's other needs of the county. There's other needs of the citizenry that require your attention. And I completely agree with them. That is the truth. There are other things that I can be focusing my time on, and I do. And that's kind of what I wanted to let you know. Obviously, the newspaper, the media, they're going to go to, I guess, where there is animosity on both sides, because that contention sells paper, clicks, views, and I understand that. It's a difficult issue that we need to address, but I am working on other things, and I want to kind of share those things that I'm working on for the citizens of Bell County. Then we'll get into the city council races here locally. It's been another week. A lot of more people has filed to run for office. A lot of my friends that I know have filed to run for office. So we'll go get into the city elections a little bit and go from there. First, let's talk about Precinct 4. I think a lot of people confuse Precinct 4 with District 4 in the city of Killeen, or really just any districts, races or at-large positions in the city of Killeen, just because that's the, there's overlap there. So Precinct 4 starts in North Killeen, butts up to Fort Hood, and goes all the way down to Williamson County on 195. So if you're driving up 195 from Williamson County, both sides of those highways, those are Precinct 4. As you enter Killeen, all of that, both sides of the highway, is going to be Precinct 4. Once you get into the city, Texas A&M, Stan Schluter Loop, that pretty much goes from Tremere all the way to CTC, the airport, to 190, Interstate 14. All that is Precinct 4. And then you have Precinct 406 and 410 that's on the north side of Killeen. I currently reside in Precinct 406. So you get a geographical idea of Precinct 4. We are probably the smallest precinct by landmass of where people live, because a lot of it is Fort Hood or the airport. But Precinct 4 has the largest percentage of population compared to the other precincts. There's an estimated 95,217 people that live in Precinct 4. All the other precincts have about 92,000-ish, somewhere in that range. And that's just because of the concentration. People want to live in Precinct 4. That's where a lot of the development is going on, at least right now, is in Precinct 4 in those areas close to the base, because that's where people want to live, close to where they live, or I'm sorry, where they work. So in Precinct 4, some of the duties of a county commissioner is to maintain the roads in the rural part of the county. So Precinct 4, we have 89.03 miles of paved road and 8.91 miles of gravel road in Precinct 4 alone. I'm going to start chipping away at the gravel road part. I think, in today's age, people expect to have a paved road on where they live. And that's going to be one of the goals of mine to do during my 4-year term, is to pave the remaining gravel roads in Precinct 4. So that is a bird's eye view of Precinct 4 and the roads. Now let's get into what I've been working on since being in office just a mere 4 weeks. Something that we talked about last episode that is going to be coming up on the next agenda item is going to be the fee schedule for subdivision regulations. We workshopped that item. During the workshop, it seemed like we had 2 commissioners that supported a fee schedule and 2 commissioners that did not support a fee schedule. Let's be clear what that fee schedule is for. It's to help offset the cost of development to the county. These developers come in, they want to build a subdivision, they're making money selling lots, building houses. It's not like they're losing money on this. And the proposed fees were relatively low, comparable to the rest of the county. So I think it's fair that developers do their fair share. And they expect it, especially, like I said, in all the cities, they do some type of fee schedule for development. That money for fee schedules could be used to pay employees overtime, to purchase equipment or whatever is associated with development and inspection. That's what that money can be used for. Maybe hiring additional personnel. But whatever it is, it will offset whatever budget the county engineers pay. Less in taxes. So the more fees we collect from the developers, the less it's coming out of the taxpayer's wallet. And at the end, that's what we want. We're not making these developers develop the land. They're building homes and subdivisions here because that's where people want to live. So if that's the case, those new residents, those developers of new subdivisions, they need to be paying for their own subdivisions, in my opinion. And I think the court will finally agree. This may be the first 3-2 decision of the court. I don't know. We'll see. But let's hope that they make the right decision for the people and transfer that burden, that cost of that development to the developer and not to you and I, the individual taxpayers. Another issue that I'm looking to address here in the short-term future is making an amendment to the hotel occupancy tax to include short-term rentals slash Airbnb, Verbo type of HomeAway, those type of services. So in the county, at least on the county level, they assess for any hotel, they assess a 2% tax. And that money is supposed to use to promote tourism. I believe the county somehow spends that money with the expo center, which is okay. We get a lot of work, a lot of conferences, shows, things like that at the expo center. So that's what it's for. It's supposed to promote the county. Initially, when I started looking at this, I just assumed, because I'm new, obviously, that we could only assess taxes in the unincorporated areas of the county, especially like the hotel occupancy tax. So that really was small. But if you looked on Airbnb, there were some listings that were out in the county area. But once I spoke to the auditor, she said, no, it's for the entire county. Any hotel, any Airbnb would be subject to that inside the county. So that really interested me because I didn't know the exact number, but I knew we had a lot. City of Killeen, they are working on a short-term rental. I'm on the Killeen Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm the chair of that commission. And that's something that's been in the works for a little over a year. And so they could start capturing that missing revenue. Harker Heights, coincidentally, passed a short-term rental ordinance this month. I believe on the 23rd last week, they passed it. Now, rolling it out and incorporating it to start capturing that revenue, I don't know their processes yet for that, but they've done that. And then the city of Belton also had a workshop item this month talking about short-term rentals and an ordinance to regulate those. So you're starting to see this is starting to gain traction inside the county. The only city that I haven't heard of this coming to is city of Temple or even Salado. So this was my thought on it. I knew that there were opportunities out there to get that missing revenue that we're losing. So I reached out to a vendor. And we're going to talk about this in a workshop, upcoming workshop, but they estimated that there are currently over 900 listings, unique listings in Bell County. And that really surprised me. I was not expecting that many. I was thinking maybe 200 to 300, but 900 was really, really eye-opening. So at a 2% tax on 900 listings, that's a significant amount of revenue that the county should be collecting on these. So what I did after I got that information, I scheduled a meeting. Well, I have a date scheduled for it to be on a workshop. But since I know these other cities are in the process or working on a short-term rental option, I wanted to include them in our workshop because the vendor that I spoke with, a known entity in the government world, they do a lot of software services for government entities. They said if the county pays, I guess their their rates to do countywide, that cities could come in at a significantly reduced rate, obviously because they're already doing it for the county. So I reached out to the city of Killeen, I reached out to city of Harker Heights, and I reached out to the city of Belton. I guess I'm still going to reach out to Temple and Harker Heights, even though I haven't seen or read anywhere that they're even working on a short-term rental option. But I think since I'm extending an invitation to the other cities, that it only makes sense to invite them as well. So that's one thing that I've been working on that will increase revenue for the county. It'll increase revenue for the cities if they participate in the same program at a reduced rate. And these are things that, people are going to say, why are you adding fees? We're taxed enough already. But I want you to understand that no one is making these individual homeowners rent out their houses to make money. You're operating as a business. So for the safety of the county, the safety of residents, they do inspections on hotels. They regulate hotels. If you're operating as a hotel and making money, then there's some oversight that should be required to make sure that they're safe and meet health and safety standards. So I think it's only appropriate that this gets implemented, and I think in the long term it will. As of right now, the hotel tax ordinance for the county, it was authorized in 2015, and it excludes permanent residents from the definition of a hotel. So you could see where we're missing capturing Airbnbs because of that exclusion. And it specifically reads any residence, permanent residence that stays there longer than 30 days. So I live in my home. I'm not going anywhere. I live over here 30 days. So if I rented out a room in my house on Airbnb, it would be excluded as of right now as definition by the order, because it says any person that lives in the house longer than 30 days. So that's going to be something that we may need to tweak a little bit in the order, amending the order to capture that short-term rental. But that's what we have to do on the county level. There are a lot of homes, a lot of listings that are entire units. So if you're a listing that's an entire unit, that's not a permanent residence. So I think, immediately if we get into authorizing this, or even not authorizing it, if they still want to exclude permanent residents, there's still a lot of listings that are entire houses. So there's no one living there. So I think those could be immediate capture under our current regulation. So this is going to be something that's going to be brought up on a workshop. This is something that I think will be beneficial to all the cities and the county, and something that it was easily for me to find, to research, and in less than 4 weeks. So, I think our commissioners, the makeup of the commissioners court, they really need to start thinking about, the new technologies that are being used in the economy, how those affect the county and the cities, and if there's any missing lost revenue, then we need to be making an effort to collect that for our county, for our employees, I've heard many times that the hotel occupancy tax, that's the good tax because you're not taxing residents or you're not taxing businesses here in the county. You're taxing the visitors that live outside the county coming into the county to work or play. So that's supposed to be the good one from what I heard. But yeah, so that's one of the things that I am working on, trying to work with the other cities, is that short-term rental compliance lost revenue collection with Bell County. Another item that we have on the burner is the Killeen Annex. So this last workshop, that was an item that we discussed. The city manager, assistant city manager, executive director for development services, planning director came in, and I think we had a good conversation on the way we all expect the Killeen Annex in downtown off of Gray Street to be an anchor. This is going to be the first new development downtown, commercial development in decades, probably. So, we want to get it right. We want it to be something that the county and its employees will be proud of, that the residents will be proud of, that the city will be proud of, because there's a lot of things starting to happen in downtown. So I think we're on a good track. We have some floor plan stuff that we're still working on. We had a meeting about it yesterday with the architect. So good things are coming. The county's going to get a new annex. The old annex that is over here off of Priest Street, I don't know how old it is exactly, but it's old. I think it was built in the 40s or 50s. So yeah, it's time to update. It's time to upgrade, and we're going to be getting that. We're going to be getting that here in Killeen, and I'm proud to be a part of that. I'm going to be even more proud whenever we break ground later this year. I don't know exactly when, but it will happen. We will break ground this year, and we'll get going on your new Killeen Bell County Annex. The other thing that I've been working on, kind of kicking the tires on it and seeing how we're going to work it, is this small business initiative. Incorporating more local businesses into the county purchasing. We had mentioned also this last workshop talking about the procurement process for the county, how things are done. I think the county, well, also what I really want them to do is start putting the workshops online where you can view them, because right now you can't view the workshops. They are recorded, stored somewhere. If you want to do an open records request, they said that they're able to give them to you, but we shouldn't have to do that for the workshops. It should be easily accessible for us to look over. But anyways, during the last workshop, they were talking about the procurement process and just how all the departments are really relying on the buy boards, the cooperative purchasing cooperatives that do not do any competitive bidding. And I think that was something me and Precinct 1 Commissioner, had an issue with. We both come from construction backgrounds. We've bid on projects. We know, especially in the construction world, not everything is the same. You just can't do a line item for this instance. It was talking about ACs. And then my question was to that department head where we were talking about ACs, said, okay, if I get on the buy board, where you made this recommendation, you pulled this number to replace these air conditioning units. It's a company that you always do business with. It's the same company that, yeah, it is on the buy board. It's not illegal. It's not wrong. But if I'm on the buy board too, how am I getting overlooked? If we're telling our businesses that work and service Bell County, hey, just get on the buy board, or just get in tips or one of these other companies or cooperatives, and if we're not rotating through all these lists, then we're picking winners and losers in the county, and I think that goes against the bidding process and opportunities for other companies. So we're going to work on opening that up. I think we're really going to get into the weeds with this during the budget season. At least I am. I think one of the other commissioners will probably follow me, because I want to maximize our spending. If we got to spend money for goods or services, I want to maximize those dollars staying here in the county and going to businesses that live and pay taxes in the county. I want to give them those opportunities to get those dollars back by providing work, providing services for the county. So that is going to be something that, as we move forward, it's always going to be at the top of my mind when contracting comes up. The auditor or the assistant auditor said in our workshop, they do it because it's easier. And I like the judge's response when he said, that's not a good reason, just because it's easier. The reason should be it's cheaper, it's faster, something like that, not because it's easier for them. So I think that kind of like opened the eyes a little bit of the processes. And yeah, being easier for staff isn't a reason to exclude or not bid things out. So that is something that will be addressed. And, I plan on going around and partnering with, nonprofits that are engaged with expanding inclusion of businesses in the contracting world. And there are a couple here in the county that are doing that. So I'll be working closely with them, the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce, and the Central Texas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce as well. So those are organizations that I think are focused on minority expansion into the workforce. And that's definitely something that I can support and will support moving forward in the process. And I guess the last thing that I am working on, I'll just hit it briefly. I haven't had an opportunity to really research and dive into the weeds about it, but I just want to let you know, public transportation, that is something that I think we need for future growth, both economic and for our population. And it's something that we need to get right as well. From my understanding, the HOP, that's the transportation network that we currently have, has a new director. I want to sit down, meet with him, talk with him, and really go into his vision and how the county can support that. But I really think it's going to take a big fundamental shift on how we address public transportation. I'm not fully confident that the HOP is going to be the way to get there where we need to get, but it may be. So I'm curious to see what his vision is moving forward. So now we'll switch over to local city races here in the city of Harker Heights. The paper just announced that our dear friend, Miss Stacy Wilson, has filed for place 2 on the Harker Heights City Council. So, yay, Stacy! We're going to support you. You're going to make a fantastic city councilwoman. And so far, and now this is the seat that Mr. Bloomquist stepped down so he could run for mayor. The other person that filed so far in precinct 2 is a guy named Hal Schiffman. I don't know anything about him. So that is definitely a race that we're going to be supporting. And the filing deadline is February 17th for candidates in there. On Killeen City Council, I believe so far every seat, every district, except precinct or District 4, has a challenger to the incumbent. So there's still time for people to register. I know I plan on supporting the incumbents for District 1, 2, and 4. And they're Killeen ISD and Central Texas College trustee positions that are also up for election. And I'm going to challenge myself to make sure that we have strong Democratic representation going for those seats. That's going to be what is important to the local Democratic Party to show that, first of all, we can win local elections and that we can govern, and building that network, that base of qualified candidates to go for higher office, qualified elected officials. So, like I said, the days of incumbents running unopposed is coming to an end. So we still have time. If you're interested in running for Killeen ISD or Central Texas College trustee, we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to support you. So, reach out and we can go from there. And I guess finally, for my last thought of the week is more on this national scene and even local. There's some local involved here. So in Memphis, Tennessee, 5 black police officers were charged with murder of a individual, Mr. Tyree Nichols, at a traffic stop. They pulled him over, and they released the video last night. It's all over the news. You can check it out for yourself. It's very disturbing to watch that. As a former police officer, I just couldn't imagine why you would beat and punch, pepper spray an individual like that. So justice will be served in that case. I know that they fired them and charged them fairly quickly, but either way, it's disturbing. No matter what side of the aisle that you're on, to watch that video. Here locally in Bell County, the trial started this week of a Temple police officer, Carmen DeCruz, for manslaughter for the killing of Michael Dean during a traffic stop. He said his gun went off accidentally, but that's an equally disturbing case. People, citizens should not be getting killed from a traffic stop. And even here fairly recently down in San Antonio, there was a 17-year-old Hispanic kid. I seen the video. I forgot the guy's name, but I know that they fired the police officer for shooting this kid multiple times in a parking lot while he was eating a hamburger. And those things are disturbing. So we definitely need to make sure that our officers are trained. I know it's a dangerous job. I know the officers' safety is beat into your head. You know, officer safety. You want to go home to your families. I agree with that, but we're missing something in the training where this is happening a lot, or maybe it's just happened a lot already, just underreported. But yeah, that's something that we need to look forward to working on together. This is something that we need to fix as a society together, making sure that there's no fear when a police officer pulls you over, because that is the case for many people in our community. That fear getting pulled over by a police officer, that you don't know if you're going to survive that. So that's something we'll work on together. And it was brought to my attention during all the news coverage and everything for the Temple police officer case. There is another statue that is a source of contention in Bell County, but it's not a Confederate statue. It's a statue that is at the Bell County Justice Center off of Loop 121, and it is a fallen police officer memorial. Now, being a former police officer, I didn't think anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with the memorial. We should honor our fallen police officers. But the location of that memorial is the issue. It's at the Justice Center, where justice should be fair and impartial. And specifically, if you look at the former Temple police officer, Carmen de Cruz, the jury and the residents, witnesses, have to go past this statue to get into the Justice Center. So it was brought to my attention that this location is not fair and impartial with a fallen police officer memorial there. I hear you, and I will seek to do something about it. I do know that that memorial is planned to be moved. I believe that statue was put there by the Sheriff's Foundation. The money raised for it to be built was raised by the Sheriff's Foundation, and there is plans to move it. So, my question, I'll bring it up in a workshop to the commissioners. If being fair and impartial matters to y'all, which it should, in moving that, because that takes away from being fair and impartial, maybe the Confederate statue is the same thing. Maybe the Confederate statue is the same thing where it's at. That statue is not fair and impartial, being at the center of our government at the historic county courthouse. So that is another thing that we'll bring up on the next workshop, or both the statues. So more to come. I encourage you to, view your county commissioners' meetings. They're online. You can watch them at your leisure in the morning, at night. And, I want more and more people to be involved with their county government and support your county government. So with that, I hope you have a great weekend, and we are out of here.